Welcome to Love and Relationships for the Modern Mystical Life. I'm your host, Juliana Christine. We are in a relationship revolution. The scripts we inherited from our families, culture, and every love story we were ever told aren't working anymore. But the new way hasn't been written yet, and I'm here to write it with you. This podcast goes beneath the surface of all your relationships, past the advice into what's real, the messy, the tender, and the beautiful. Come on in. Have you ever felt like something in your life is about to change? And it's like you can feel it just on the edge, and it starts to cause this like restlessness inside of you. But currently, in this exact moment, everything in your life is still the same. And you're kind of like waiting on the edge of your seat, like wondering if someone's going to come and knock on your door and change everything, or you're going to get a DM and everything's going to change, or you'll run into someone and your whole life will shift. This is how I've been feeling for the last few weeks. And I'm hearing the same thing from my clients. And they're kind of going like, well, what's happening? Like something's going to change, but I don't know what's going to change. And what I notice when we're in this space is we want, because this is so unknown, because it doesn't live in the physical realm, which is how we often exist, right? I'm sitting at my desk here, looking at my microphone, looking out my window in my summer dress, and having just eaten grapes that are gurgling around in my belly. Everything is very physical. And when we're in liminality, when we're in this in-between state, this has nothing to do with the physical realm. And it has everything to do with the senses that exist beyond the physical body. And it has everything to do with us being connected, deeply connected to one another through what's known as the morphogenetic field, which is something that Rupert Sheldrake discovered. And it's this invisible field, probably connected by the quantum field. I'm no scientist, so I'll probably butcher this. But it has us connecting and communicating beyond anything that we currently really understand. It impacts behaviors and how we show up in the world. And I think part of this, the reason why I bring this up, is that when we get into this place, we want to control the outcome because our spidey senses are feeling something. They're like existing in this plane that is not connected to what is physically happening in the now. And so we look outside of us around, what can I control? What do I know is going to happen? What can I change? To try to fill this discomfort, because for me, it's a discomfort in my own body, like to try to fill this discomfort of something that is not in my tangible reality yet. And I think that we're feeling this on a very large scale in the world. This is what I call the relationship revolution. Our relationships are evolving. How we do relationship, how we show up with one another is changing. And every ancient civilization has talked about this time. We have Pluto that's in Aquarius in human design. Next year we're in the era of the cross of the sleeping phoenix. And what is similar around this is all of these different, what do you call them? All of these different prophecies, is that we're going into a time that we've never really understood before. And I think that's a large part of what we're feeling is there's something coming. It's kind of like when you just know, when you think about your best friend and then they call you, right? It's this type of knowing that we all have and have experienced in our lives. It's just with something really big that we don't actually have the evidence for. And this episode is kind of abstract. And if you ever work with me, you know that I can get really high into the abstract experience of the craziness that we exist as humans, and then really practical in the steps of how to show up with one another. And this is more one of those abstract ones where this too is the truth of what it means to be alive and to be a person in 2026. So the old era that we are literally watching crumble away is where the individual works for the benefit of the community, gives from self for the whole. And in family systems, it's often seen as a closed system where the rules of the family system, the protection of the family system is more important than the individual's expansion. Okay, and so this stops what's known as individuation and differentiation, where the individual becomes more solid in who they are and less identified with the people around them. So what we're moving into is, in family systems, we would call this more of an open system. In human design, we call it the era of the sleeping phoenix. And this is about the system as a whole supporting the individual to be the highest expression of self, filling your cup first and then giving from the overflowing abundance. Now, that hasn't really happened before. Like if I think of the time that I grew up in, like if you think of our very basic, how we have existed to work and then retire when you're 65. That is like a perfect example of how we give up self for the benefit of the whole. And then only after we have paid our dues do we then get to enjoy ourselves. And this is happening a lot. You see this in the younger generation, where they're like refusing to do things that I know my generation was like, oh, I have to work this way in order to get the job. The younger generations are not wanting to do this anymore. And this is part of this era change. And so what's happening is that we're looking at it from this way where we used to actually seek love and resources, meaning money, homes, whatnot, from places of urgency, survival, scarcity, and depletion. And we're leaving that behind, but we haven't gotten to the new way of being. And that like old way of being, I mean, my grandmother lived that way, right? So that was in place for probably my great-grandparents and my great-great-grandparents. So that was in place for a long time, like beyond the concept of really what we understand. And so what we're moving into is something that is not in our generational lineage of how to exist. And this is why we're seeing so much conflict in the world. This is why there's so much like, how do we all fit together? How do we have all of these differing opinions? And I think it's because we are coming into a chaotic time so that we can come out the other side of how we're going to actually live going forward in relationship to self, to our closest people in our life, and as a greater whole. And chaos is necessary to find what's on the other side. You can't actually create something new without chaos at first, right? Anytime you start something new, it's going to feel a little like, I don't know what I'm doing here. Like you think of a garden. If you start building a new garden, it's going to look a little chaotic at times before you get to the place where you are harvesting the fruit of your labors. So I've been in contemplation about this for a few weeks now. I mean, much longer, but in deep contemplation where I've been like, oh, I'm feeling this liminal space. What is going on here? Like it feels like things are happening so quickly and they're going so slowly all at the same time. It feels like I can taste a new life. And then at the same time, I'm still living the life that I've always lived. And it's kind of confusing for our minds, for our bodies, because it's literally something we cannot control. And so because there is nothing we can control, we're being called into this deeper relationship with self, because we can't control what anybody else is doing outside of us. We can't control all of the things going on in the world. And we're in this liminal space where we're kind of like, I'm looking out the window right now, like kind of just playing like, oh, is he here yet? Are they coming? Like, what's happening, right? There's nothing we can do. So the only thing we have any control over really ever is ourself. And so I've been sitting with this, and I was sitting outside the other day in the sun, just listening to music with my eyes closed. And I was just imagining, I was just kind of sitting with this idea of like, so much can change on the outside in a split second. But sometimes we're in this waiting room of life around what's going on for a long time. And if you ever sat in a waiting room where you have to sit way longer than you actually want to, it gets really frustrating. And you start to get kind of bored. And then you start to get frustrated and annoyed. And then you get really hopeful. And it's like, oh, maybe in like the next 30 seconds, I'll be called. And so I'm sitting here imagining myself in this beautiful waiting room as I'm sitting in the sun with my eyes closed. And I got this image as I breathed into my body of this spring, this freshwater spring gurgling up from the center of the earth, just gently moving up and into me, this wellspring. And I started to just settle a little bit. I started to breathe just a little bit. And I watched this wellspring, and it's just slowly gurgling, and it's not quite fully flowing yet. And I had this like understanding that this is what's happening in the world. We are tapping into a new way of being. We are tapping into new ways of communicating. I mean, you just listen to the telepathy tapes and there's evidence right there. We're tapping into new ways of showing up for ourselves, taking care of our bodies. And it looks kind of scary sometimes. Like the world is a scary place when we're focused out there. But as soon as I dropped inside and I could feel this wellspring gurgling up inside of me, I felt this abundance of trust, this abundance of life, this abundance of connection to guidance and wisdom that is far beyond our understanding of being human. You might call it source, you might call it God, you might call it creator. And this wellspring is available to us anytime that we choose to attune ourselves to it. Because we don't actually have to go outside of ourselves anymore to fill ourselves up. This is why this liminal space feels so uncomfortable. It feels so uncertain, because we're literally rewiring how we engage with life. We're being called to engage from life from this internal experience. It's inside you. It's inside me. It's not actually out there anymore. However, when we connect to the wellspring inside of us, it then allows deeper connection to others outside of us. So it's asking, like we're being called in this liminal space, it feels like, to ask this question: can I release my fear-based strategies that have kept me safe in the world? Can I make choices based from a place of love, hope, joy, and connection, as opposed to I'm afraid, so I'm going to make this choice to stay safe? Now, this is complex for us because we live in these very physical bodies with very intelligent nervous systems that are here to keep us alive from anything that threatens our existence. And connection to a human equals survival. This is the mammalian branch of the nervous system. And so when we're in this liminality and when we're being called to go first inside self, we're challenging the entire structure of our mammalian nervous system that goes, I need to be with other in order to be safe. And so this is why like somatic practices and connection to the body and being connected to your emotions are so vital at this time, so that you can take care of your body while this is happening. Now, I want to know if this is resonating with you, because I'm riffing here on something that I feel deeply within me. So I would love to know. You can drop a comment or you can send me a message in the link in the show notes to let me know, or send me a message on Instagram. I am Juliana Christine, to let me know if this is resonating. So in this liminal space, in this connection with this wellspring inside of you, we are building what I think is faith. Faith in something that we don't have language for. Faith in our connection to our hearts. Faith in our ability to connect from a heart-based, overflowing level to the people in our lives. And this challenges us so deeply because it's not something you can touch. It's not a number in the bank. It's not something you can smell. It's literally a feeling, a sense that may not make sense. So as I sit with this liminality space, and as you potentially also sit with this space of liminality, what's been supporting me the most is prayer and meditation. So I have certain, I could call them mantras, that I say every morning, and then I sit quietly for about 10 minutes and I just listen. I listen to whatever guidance may come my way. Walking, being out in nature, hanging out with friends, reading, recording podcasts. All of this type of stuff is supporting me and being really present in the moment, because it's the only thing we can control, is being present in the moment and allowing yourself to feel the wellspring bubbling up inside of you. What if this is what is happening? If you're feeling this restlessness, what if inside of you a new pattern is emerging? A new way you show up in the world is emerging. A new pathway is forming for you that hasn't quite shown itself fully yet. So how can you fill your own cup today? What would it take to do that? It might feel uncomfortable. It may even feel selfish. But what if it's actually you choosing to rewrite a new way of you being in the world? For yourself, for your community, and for all of your relationships. Because there's a revolutionary shift happening. And what I know to be true about this is that it is happening on both an individual level, and that from the individual level, that is then going to ripple out into the world. So let me know if this resonates with you. I would love to hear. And I will speak to you very soon. Have the most beautiful day.